There is a concern based on statistical evidence and then additional evidence that the 2024 has some problems.
There's another exciting update from the ETA.
This update is going to go over where we are in our two major lawsuits that we've been talking about. I'm going to give you some details and I'm going to give you kind of the timeline. Two major legal campaigns right now that we've been working on. And the first one we are aiming to have filed by mid-September. We were aiming for end of August. We've had a few things shift us around just a little bit. We actually got more information, more evidence that let us, adjust our pursuits. And then our other lawsuit is still pending a licensed lawyer to help us actually file that lawsuit, but we've been putting that evidence together, and that one is for Florida. And I can talk about that one a little bit more. We'll be releasing some reports here in the near future about what we are finding in Florida. But that other lawsuit, we've kept that pretty close to our chest until we get to the actual filing. We have our data and we have our additional evidence or findings. We've talked about this pretty publicly so far, but generally speaking, there is a concern based on statistical evidence and then additional evidence that the 2024 has some problems. In our first lawsuit, we will actually be talking about the evidence supporting concerns of a compromise of the systems, the tabulation or the counting computers specifically. There are some caveats to that. It is a little complex, but generally speaking, the digital count, we are very concerned that there's a compromise of the digital counting of that it impacted the 2024 and even down cases. And reminder, nearly 100% of all of the cast in 2024 were counted digitally by a machine of some type of somewhere. And we're looking at the top three systems all across the US as being of concern. But in our first lawsuit, we're focusing on one system specifically in one location. And we have put together both the statistical concerns, but also can we trust the machines and what have we found to support or not support that. So that will be coming out in that first filing. We don't want to talk too much about it before we get to that point as per our legal advice there.
I have been waiting for the updates from Florida because I think it's going to be a very surprising result.
So Florida, we have the same concerns of the tabulation, the counting systems being compromised and being manipulated. And we also have concerns of the database playing a hand in this potential manipulation, meaning you've compromised the database, you're messing with registration, you potentially creating don't exist. These are the types of things we're starting to find as we're digging into Florida and other places. I actually flew to Florida. I went to Florida. I met some locals that were interested in working with us, and we did some on-the-ground investigation using our statistical analysis. We said, hey, where are the most anomalous places in Florida, these counties, these precincts? And we took that data, we got their registration data for some of these places, and we actually went and we started investigating locations. And for example, we found some locations where the 24 yet were not eligible to have, did not live in the counties at the time. They were closing on houses. And so it's very interesting that we started finding that where you've potentially been that should not have been able to their own accounts. We're also finding issues of a bunch of different registration, a bunch of different active were registered, but then their registration raises flags for not actually being real residential addresses or being real. So these are things we're investigating and we're finding in Florida. We'll be releasing reports as we go forward, but we'll also be releasing this into a complaint or a lawsuit when we get everything put together for that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We get more specific, we have more data points, but these are the types of things we're finding.
I tell you, it was a shit show. Can't wait to see the actual charts, and I will provide an update with those charts as soon as they are available. But definitely, I didn't cover everything in this video, so go over to their YouTube channel and watch the full video. It should be the last one that they posted. You may remember from a couple previous videos that these pursuits are going to be very expensive. So if you're able to, a donation to the ETA would be a huge help. Because remember, the one that they just said that they're going to file soon is super expensive, and it's only one. We have several states we need to worry about. And just to be super clear, we are not thinking that this is going to switch who is in charge. We are just trying to protect the next surveys. coming up in 2026, if you know what I mean. In order to protect our voices, we need to make sure this is fixed. Otherwise, what are we doing here?